Being able to cut at or pop out the 4 aces as you are shuffling a deck of playing cards is a very nice way in which you can introduce 4 cards which you can then afterwards use for twisting the aces or for a sandwich effect or for collectors. There's plenty of tricks out there that use 4 playing cards. But in this video we're going to look at 7 ways in which we can produce the 4 aces. For this video, we're going to need just a deck of playing cards, so grab anything that you have around and let's start learning. If you want to use any different size playing cards, like for example jumbo, star-shaped or bridge playing cards, then good luck. This is a very classic production which uses a legendary move called the slip cut. If you're not familiar with the slip cut, do not worry because we're going to be going over this one as well. Now basically the idea of a slip cut is that you have all 4 cards on top of the deck, and then as you're cutting the deck, instead of cutting all of those cards like this, what you're going to do is you're going to just slip cut one of those in front. So every time you are retaining one single card and moving it together with a part from the deck. And it looks as if you are actually cutting the deck, but in reality, you're not. So the idea of a slip cut is to make it look like a cut. So the first thing that I want you to do is to do this. And I know you've probably done this a few thousand times, but the idea is that you have to make the slip cut look exactly like that. Now let's actually look at the slip cut. Grab the deck on the right side with your fingers like this, so you have your thumb on the back and the middle finger in the front. Your index finger is going to be on top of the card. Your left hand is the hand that uses to split the packet right here at the back. So it's the one that I actually decide how big the packet I want from the bottom, because it's this packet from the bottom that I'm going to take with my right hand. Let me show you. So I split, and now when I move, notice that I'm taking that bottom packet together with the top card. So I come back, I grip, my left thumb will riffle cards. This is probably a motion that you are familiar with. Riffle cards, and then I put my index on top and I move forward together with the card and with the packet from the bottom. Because if you're riffling cards, your left hand is instantly and naturally going to be gripping the packet from above, and your right hand is left with the one from the bottom. So if we just place our index finger on top of this card and move forward, it's going to take that card with it, which is why it's called a slip, because you're slipping the card onto the bottom packet. A very basic production, but one that can very easily be done wrong, because you can very easily just find yourself doing motions like this, where you're just going down. And I've seen many people do it like that. It doesn't look convincing at all. It literally looks like you are slipping the top card onto a bottom packet. So it's very important that you mimic the same motion. Notice that every time we have it from the top, we go up and then we go down. We do not go diagonally like this. So try and mimic that, but don't make it. I've noticed this one as well. This is definitely not something you want to be doing, right? So just a nice curve like that. Don't think about it too much, and then you're going to have the slip cut. Now, very important with any 4-of-a-kind production, especially with one where you're producing cards from the top of the deck, just do a couple of false shuffles, false cuts. If you do not know any, then you can go in our 7 ways to false shuffle a deck of cards. You can also shuffle and just retain those cards on top of the deck like this. So it's going to look much more convincing when after a couple of shuffles, you just cut the deck somewhere and you have an ace, and then you cut the deck there and you have an ace, and then you cut the deck and you have the other 2 aces. This one is similar to the one we've just learned, so I feel it's a nice evolution from that one to the other. Maybe evolution is not the best word because we're doing a completely different move, but the positioning of the aces and the mechanic behind it is almost the same. If you're familiar with the Benzias shootout, this is basically the Benzias shootout done 4 times from the right to the left. As long as you have the cards on top of the deck, just like this, and you start from your right and you pop the first one, then you pop the second one. You're always going to be moving with your left hand towards the left. So in this way, you're producing the 4 aces and making it look as if they are shooting out from the middle of the deck. You start off with the aces, you do a couple of false shuffles and cuts. You still have them on top, and then you hold the packet with your right hand. Your left hand is going to break, just like in the previous move. And then instead of slip cutting, we're going to use our index finger to shoot that card forward. So break, move to the left, and then at the same time we're using our index finger and we are scissoring the packets forward so that the card can move. You see, it's the index finger that shoots the card out. I'm here and then boom, the index finger shoots it out. This is a very short explanation of the Benzias shootout, as you can see. If you would like to have a more thorough explanation, definitely go and find it out somewhere else where you can actually learn it. But that would probably be the gist of it. You know, you don't need more information than that. If you're just playing around with the move, you're definitely going to find the rhythm to making the card pop. And then you start from the right side all the way to the left, and you do it just like that, and you're gonna make it look as if the cards are coming out from the center. And I love this. I love this. I do it to people, and it really hits. It's very convincing. I feel this is the best moment to learn this production as well, because instead of having a slip cut from the top, this is basically an in the hands slip cut from the bottom. So we have the 4 aces on the bottom of the deck, and then as we're swing cutting the deck, we're going to be retaining 1 card from this position and moving it with the packet. And everything happens by just taking a pinky break underneath the bottom packet, underneath the bottom card. So just 1 pinky break. And then we're going to move our left hand forward at the same time as we are slip cutting a top packet. So get a pinky break underneath and then swing cut, and instead of just grabbing this one, you're also going to retain the bottom card. And notice that basically this is what is happening. You are moving both and then I am retaining. So I'm here, I get a pinky break, and then I cut, and at the same time I move both the bottom and the top packet at the same time. But don't do it as don't do it like this. Obviously, you want to slip cut the packet. You want to cut the packet on top and then move the card together with it, so that you can conceal the fact that you're stealing the bottom card. So what I do is I get a pinky break underneath like 20 cards. Then I start doing some swing cuts on top of those, so it looks like I'm shuffling the cards. If you want, you can do any sort of like in the hands false shuffles that you like. I like this one, it's called the perfect shuffle. So once you are ready, you get a pinky break underneath the top one, and see, I cut it and then I put it down. So that's gonna be the first ace. If you want, after every time, you can do a couple of false shuffles and then cut to the next one. Again, you can do a couple of false shuffles, just like this, get a pinky break, cut, and to the last one. If you want, you go like this, and then you have the 4 aces. Now, this move, the bottom slip cut, is actually super, super useful, not only for productions, but you can imagine for a variety of things, for like forces, and for controls, and for just these two. So maybe not for a wide variety of things, but there is different uses that you can with this move besides a production. So there you have it, guys, the bottom card slip cut production. Oh, but of course, the natural thing to learn after the bottom card slip cut is, yes, you're right, the top card slip cut in the hands. Until now, we've been doing a lot of slip cuts, right? They're very useful when you want to produce cards from 4 different parts of the deck without always having them in the same position and going like this and doing false shuffles, you know, which I'm not saying necessarily that this is bad. It's just I'm trying to show you guys exactly, you know, different ways in which you can do this. That isn't just having them in the same position and then false shuffling. If you are not familiar with the top card slip cut, it's basically this. So if you are familiar with the biddle trick where you're counting cards down so that you can do the biddle trick, you know, if you're familiar with the biddle switch, it's the same thing. So basically we're going to be holding the deck in biddle grip in our right hand. We get a pinky break with our left hand above 20 cards. And then we're going to slip that top card onto the bottom packet. So we're moving with the bottom packet and we're using our thumb to slip that card. But because we can't do it so much in the open, because everybody will point their fingers at us and laugh, what we want to do is necktie our left hand, and then the motivation behind doing that is because we're flipping the packet. So we're over here. Notice that you cannot see what am I doing because I am slip cutting and turning my wrist at the same time. So at this point, it looks as if you have completely failed, but that's when you turn them, you slap them in the face with the 4 aces. Because you are performing, this might be a gig, and you don't want to leave empty-handed. So we get a pinky break, grab, boom. Another pinky break, grab, don't forget to necktie. So we're necktying and dropping. You don't have to worry about this sound, because you're not going to be performing this in complete silence. I like how most of the time there's something connecting, Jack, Queen, King, like 4 different parts, and it's still connecting. It's kind of interesting. Don't have to worry about the sound because you're going to be talking when performing this. I like to perform this standing up and just placing cards down, pointing at the fact that I'm trying to cut to the aces, or maybe to the 7s, maybe to the 2s. Maybe it's gonna look the 7s. We got 2 7s, but yeah, I think that was about it. And then when I turn it, I reveal the aces. These are face up because I'm doing a demonstration, but they will usually be face down. Now, as I previously said in all the other ones, and as I will repeat again, it's very nice to have a couple of false shuffles and cuts thrown in there right before you start doing this. If you want, you can put them in the center, you know, so you can do them here as well. Boom. There we go. And then you do the slip cut. If not, you can just go directly into it. Whatever fits the situation, read the mood, and see exactly what you want to do and what you can do in the situation that you are. But there you go, guys. This is the top card slip cut production in this beautiful video of 7 ways to produce the 4 aces. So let's move on to the 5th method now. For this production, we're going to have to set up the aces in a certain way. The first one will go in the center face up, just like this. We're going to take another one and leave it on top of that one. And we're going to take another one and have a pinky break below it. And then drop everything on top. So right now we have a pinky break under an ace and above these 2 aces. From this position, we're going to use our 3 fingers from our right hand to just move the top card forward. Now this is a move from flourishes, where you're basically going like this and reversing the card. So if you like this move, you can also learn this move. Just follow along. You go 3, index finger extends the card, and then my pinky will grab the card from underneath here and move it on top. And when you do it fast, it looks like that. So it's got a nice flow to it, like that. And I've used this motion to just begin the flourish. So we go forward over here, and then I need to go forward because I'm going to clip the card between my pinky and my 3 fingers, and then use my thumb and index finger to grip everything from above. Now we're just going to focus on the right hand. If I turn my wrist over here, you can notice that I can actually use my fingers to move this ace in the back. And it's basically this that gives it the flow. And I'm using my middle finger for this. So let's just do that again. I go forward, I grip the packet, and then over here, this card is being held between the deck and my fingers. So all I have to do is just move my fingers backwards, closing my fist, and it's going to move that ace. Now it's not going to happen fast, I just move it like that. And then we're going to continue with the rest. So let's go. I go whoop, I grab, and then over here I'm going to do a cardini, just like this. So I cardini the card and then I move the card backwards using my left fingers over here. So I'm using my fingers, I'm pulling them in, and if you put those two moves together, we have here, grab the packet, turn my wrist, and if you haven't subscribed, this is the best moment to do so. We post regularly here on YouTube, both tutorials, documentaries, and exclusive magic with magicians from all over the world. And yeah, nobody likes these introductions, these small snippets in between teaching, but this way you can see my ugly face for 5 seconds before we can move on. At the same time, cardini, you will notice that you can have this beautiful display that moves, because I'm moving both the card from the cardini and the one from above. From this position, I'm going to unite the ace of spades with the ace of hearts right here in the center, grip them with my pinky over here, turn my wrist and drop them on top, and then this packet, I turn my wrist again. Wait, because I have to take the ace first. So I turn my wrist completely, I grab the ace, and then I put it on the bottom. Let's go again from the top. So we have the 4 aces. We go face up, face down with pinky break, the rest of the packet. Now we go forward, grab the packet, cardini, and then I turn my wrist, and in this position you don't really have a display, but if I move the ace of diamonds right here in the back, and I move the ace of spades a bit, the display will flatten, and it will also have this dancing motion, you know, to it. So you go a little bit like this, and then you come back, you grab those 2 cards, place them in the middle, turn my wrist again so I can grab the ace. I do this dance where I turn my wrist and I turn back, and then I leave the packet a little bit so it falls on my fingers and drop these underneath. There we go. Free Flow Production, which was published back in 2011 and then subsequently published together with Magical Slide, and now I have the rights to publish it and teach it to you. It's a beautiful 4-ace production that I love performing in the hands, and I like the fact, as Johan pointed out, it has a closer. So I go right, left, I pop these, and then it's nice the fact that you can take the cards back. Now, obviously the flaw behind all of this is that you can't really get into it. One way that I used to get into it is I come over here, I use my index, and then I start taking the cards from the top, and then go instantly in it, over here. There you go, guys. Free flow production. Hope you guys enjoy it. Have fun with it. Another way in which you can produce the 4 aces. Now let's move on to the next idea. There was just no way I could not include this production as well. This is a production that I love doing because there's an element of risk to it, and there's an element of control. It teaches us how to control our left hand better. You're going to have the 4 aces underneath the 4 of diamonds and get a break underneath all 5 playing cards. You can do this as you're spreading the cards, get your break underneath all the cards, and then turn the 4 of diamonds just like this. What's going to happen is you're going to place your thumb at this corner, and then because of the momentum, when you're going very fast downwards with your hand, those cards are going to spin around the thumb and then land on top of the deck. Notice that because of this, we have to also snap our fingers and cause those cards to flip at the same time. So sometimes we can do this where we're going very little, you know, because we're being afraid that we're not going to do something like that. And this is why I love this production. It teaches us about control. Inner control, breathing. We have to synchronize the snapping with the fact that we're flipping all of these playing cards. Now you can also just do this as you're distracting people's attention. So you can have the 4 of diamonds and then go, okay, how many pips in the 4 would you say there are? And then when they look at you, you do the move, and when they look down, it's going to be the 4 aces. So there is this way of doing it. But if you want to really challenge yourself, place your hand in front of the deck, snap your fingers, and that's also going to hide the noise that these cards make when they flip and hit the packet. It's a very simple production in essence, but getting it so it doesn't overflow and fall to the ground, or you're barely doing it when you're when you're trying to flip the cards, is the challenging part, and this is why I really wanted to include it in the 7 ways of producing the 4 aces. I know it's technically a color change done with 5 playing cards, but I really wanted to have it in here, so I hope you guys can forgive me and overlook this small moment. I've been doing this change ever since I was probably 15 or 16. It's a very, very old move, but it's still, in my eyes, a very beautiful way to produce the 4 aces. The last way in which you can produce the 4 aces from a deck of playing cards is by using the 4 trees. Now, this is actually a production that I published back in 2014 with Magical Sleight, and it's called Cutting Trees, because you're cutting to the 4 trees, so it's like cutting trees, which is sort of like awareness to the fact that people are cutting trees. So, we're basically going to be using here is a couple of things. We're going to do a slip cut, and then we're going to throw the bottom card forward as if we're doing a Benzias. The preparation for this is having a card on the bottom of the deck, that is one of the 3s, and the other 3 are on top. Now, we're going to get a thumb break above this 3, and the first thing that you're going to have to learn is how to just throw this card forward like this. And you're going to let go of your thumb and at the same time move your hand forward. And it's basically a Benzias shootout, but instead of using it your index, you're just throwing the card forward, you know, just like that. Now, obviously, sometimes it can go way too fast, so don't do that. You have to find a balance where it's just a little bit thrown forward, but it also doesn't look like you're just doing that. So it's got to spin out a little bit. Once you get that down, you're going to do a slip cut. So I put my index finger on top of the top card, and I slip cut this one over here as I move the deck forward. This movement, do not try to conceal it. It will always be visible. So don't even worry about it. You're slip cutting the card here, you're moving, and then your left hand is going to just take the top card of this packet, because there's 2 aces here. Actually, there's 2 3s here. So I'm taking this one, and then I am throwing this card from the bottom as I'm lifting this one forward. So it becomes this beautiful motion where I'm going in between and I'm coming backwards at the same time. And then we have the 4 3s. So let's go over that again. If you want, you can actually incorporate the whole thing in a routine. You can shuffle the cards, get a thumb break beneath the top card, move that to the bottom. Using Jack Carpenter's way of getting a break, you can get a break from this position. Then do the slip cut. So we got 1 slip cut over here. Move the packet forward. Just grip that top card with your fingers. As I lift it up, I'm going to throw this one. And then I put this one in the back. Boom. And then boom. Cutting trees. Now, obviously, I do not suggest you go out and cut trees, but I do suggest you go out and cut these 3s in front of your spectators. Not my best job. So there you have it, guys, 7 ways in which you can produce the 4 aces from a deck of playing cards. You can actually use false shuffle, so you can make it into a shuffled deck, you know, but you're basically maintaining those 4 aces on top or on the bottom of the deck. So technically, we could say it's 7 ways in which you can produce the 4 aces from a shuffled deck of playing cards, maybe with asterisks. Maybe one day we can do 7 ways to do Scarney's aces, which is actually from a shuffled deck of playing cards. But I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think we should do next? And let me know which one was your favorite production from all of these. My favorite production in the hands is the free flow production, because it just flows very nicely. And the one on the table has to be cutting trees. Maybe I'm also biased because I invented both of those. So we're Big Blind Media. If you haven't subscribed, this is the best moment to do so. We post regularly every week here on YouTube. We do short documentaries, we do tutorials, and we also produce a lot of top quality exclusive magic. So we collaborate with magicians from all over the world, and we publish their ideas on our website, bigblindmedia.com. My name is Biz. Love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being with me up until now, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Oh, somebody's watching the whole video. Well, we must repay you for doing this. So if you are seeing this short snippet, then make sure to email me at biz@bigblindmedia.com, and I'll hook you up with a free download.